All right, third and fourth graders. So I went ahead and added a little bit of value here already to my fruit, and then I'm going to demonstrate also again in some of these other areas to show you how to add that stippling. But stippling is just pretty much making a bunch of tiny little dots to fill in your paper with color. All right, so as you can see, we wanted to focus on value. Okay, so value is when a color goes from light to dark. When we want a color to be lighter, we call it a tint, and we add white to it. And that would be like a light green here. This is a tint, okay? And then if you added black to the color green, it would be a shade. I don't have a dark green marker with me here, but it would just be adding the color black to it, so just be like a forest green or a dark green. So I don't have all of those colors to just do like a green pair. So instead of having those colors, what I can do is I can kind of make the person looking at the picture believe that it's a lighter green by having the color yellow here instead. And so what I did was I started with yellow over here, and I just did a lot of little dots next to each other. Now, I do not want you to come in here and just go like this all over your paper, okay? Because you're going to end up with little lines. It's going to end up taking you longer because you'll end up with bigger areas that are just white. So if you slow down and just go pretty slowly here, it will actually not take you quite as long as you'll think, okay? So what I did was I added all this yellow over here right along the edge. I want my shadows to only be on one side. So I'm going to have a shadow here. I'm going to have more of a shadow on this side. I'm going to have a shadow on these sides of my blueberries. And then I'll have a shadow around the bottom of the fruit as well. So once you kind of fill a good area with yellow, I even had yellow way over here where my shadow is going to go. That's going to help blend the colors together so I don't just have stripes of yellow, light green, green, black. So I kind of want to take my yellow over just a little ways into that where that green's going to be. Same with my orange. Okay, I'm going to have yellow a little more throughout than just my lightest area. Then I'll take my light green that I have. If you don't have a light green, that's okay. What you would do is just space out your dots a little bit further with your regular green, okay? So the further I space them out, the less of that color is going to be there, so it's going to look lighter. As I want it to get darker, I'm going to add more dots that are closer together. You see how I still had that green there, but it's much darker here than it is there because I am putting them closer together. And I'm bringing that all the way over as well. Then I'm moving to my regular color green. And I'm going on top of that yellow and that light green that I already put there. And the closer I get it together, the darker it's going to appear. So I can space out some darker ones in here to help with that transition. But then as I want it to get darker along the bottom, and as I move to the side of my pear, I'm going to put them closer together. And it will make that pear appear darker on the side. And then right along the edge here where I want it to have my darkest shadow, I'm going to add a little bit of a black, okay? Not a lot, just a little bit. And along the bottom. So, as space them out here and there. Again, the closer you are in dots, the darker it will appear. The further apart, the lighter. So I have my darkest area right over here along that edge. Okay, that's going to be the same for all of my fruits here. I also don't have to use black, I can use brown in some parts as well. So for those blueberries, I used some blue and purple. So that purple will make it look nice and dark too. I don't have any light blues with me, so I'm going to space out my blues where I want it to be lightest, and then get them closer together where I want them to be darkest, and then add some purple and some black right where I want that shadow. So it'll look like those have some nice value to it. So I have purple here, putting them pretty close together, gonna space them out. Gonna fill the rest of that in with blue. Nice and close together to add that shadow on the bottom. Okay, so then around the bottom parts of my fruit, I'm going to add some brown for that shadow. So right next to the fruit, I want it to be nice, those dots to be all nice and close together to create a darker area. This is probably going to have quite a bit of shadow in here. And then, if I want my background color to be orange, I'm going to come in with orange on top of that, nice and close. And then as I move out, it'll just be the color orange, or if I wanted to mix some red in there, I could. Kind of up to you. And then the further out you get away from that fruit where it's not casting shadows, you can kind of space it out a little bit more like that. Okay, you can kind of see that transition. So then here, my orange, have a lot more orange in there. Closer together you get with your dots, the darker. Farther away, the lighter. Okay, and probably add some red in there too to fill that in. All right, I would like your background to be stippled as well, but again, once you get out in this area here, you can, if you wanted to put like a border that you see in the example, you can do that with different colors. Otherwise, you can have them spaced out pretty far out here. Okay, but the closer you get to your fruit, then get closer together to show that change in value. Okay, all right.